The air within the Norahala forest hangs heavy with anticipation as Dorian Oakenheart, a paladin clad in naturally hewn armor, stands before the assembled circle of Efferia. Moonlight filters through the leaves, dappling the mossy floor in a mosaic of light and shadow. Nivek, the Dryad leader, addresses the Flame Elf paladin with a somber gaze.
Dorian Oakenheart. Nivek's voice resonates through the forest, a blend of rustling leaves and ancient wisdom. You stand accused of interfering with the threads of fate, of altering the destinies of 4 individuals bound to play a pivotal role in the unfolding events of our world.
I don't deny my actions, Archdruid. I acted to preserve life, to offer hope where there was none, and give compassion to those that needed it the most. I believe my interventions were not only a must, but a demand. I must follow my oath to the end, at any cost.
A murmur of agreement ripples through the assembled druids. Uldren, a human druid, steps forward. Indeed, Dorian's actions speak of a noble heart, he says, his voice gentle and reassuring. He acted to protect those in need, to offer a guiding hand in times of darkness.
Nivek nods, their wooden gaze softening slightly. Your intentions may be pure, Dorian Oakenheart, they concede, but the consequences of your actions remain to be seen. Let us examine the tapestries of your deeds so that we may fully understand the extent of your interference. Nivek lifts their hands and gathers light from the moon and mist from nearby dewdrops together as she conjures the scene from Dorian's memories of a battlefield post-bloodshed. Bodies lay strewn in heaps and piles, crows feasting on the flesh of the dead and dying, thick fat flies buzzing loudly through the air. Dorian, you remember that battlefield, the god's awful stench of blood, mud, sweat, and body odor, adrenaline, anger, and raw terror. You remember the faces of death, terrible all, as you walked through the carnage. Dorian, what is going through your head right now?
Such devastation. Who do we answer to for those that have wronged us? And how am I the one that has to witness it all?
Firstly, there is Zetish, the tiefling warrior. Nivek's voice echoes through the trees as the light and mist paint a vivid scene of a battlefield ravaged by war. You found them amidst the carnage, the body broken and spirit shattered. The comrades lay dead around them, and despair threatened to consume them. Faywin, a moon elf druid, interjects. A warrior should be prepared to face death on the battlefield. To interfere in such a way disrupts the natural order. Yet death was not Zetish's fate, Nivek counters, as the mist and moonlight swirl to depict Dorian arriving at Zetish's dying body. Dorian, you intervened, using your paladin powers to mend their wounds and rekindle their spirit. You whispered words of encouragement, reminding them of their duty, their purpose, and then, with a command, erased their memory of your presence, leaving them with a new-found determination and a lingering sense of purpose they could not explain.
A dangerous gamble, Thorn, a dwarven druid, mutters, his voice gruff with concern. To manipulate the mind of another is to tread on dangerous ground.
Nivek nods in agreement. Indeed, but the threads of fate are not always clear, and sometimes even the smallest intervention can have far-reaching consequences.
How can I not? Their fate was not written that day. How can I betray my oath to allow one to suffer? They deserve a chance to change others and make sure their tragedy did not happen to others. They were betrayed, and they will make sure that others do not suffer the same.
The mist swirls as the scene changes to depict a young tiefling in the woods, scared and alone. Dorian, remembering this next scene, what are your thoughts? What do you remember as you helped this child?
Poor child. How cruel is it to be scared, alone, and without, and nothing and no one around you?
Secondly, there is Arapsys, the once tiefling, now vampire ranger. Nivek's voice shifts, the mists painting a scene of a lost child no older than 12 wandering through the shadowed depths of the forest, their eyes wide with fear and confusion. Willow, a young halfling druid, gasps. To be lost and alone at such a tender age? It's no wonder Dorian felt compelled to intervene. Indeed, Nivek agrees. He guided them, offering sustenance, leading them back to safety, and then, with a whispered word, he wiped their memory clean, leaving them with only a faint sense of gratitude and a lingering warmth they could not attribute to any source.
Halen, a Sun Elf druid, speaks up. Perhaps this intervention was necessary. Perhaps it was Arapsys' fate to be guided, to be protected, to find their way back to the light.
Nivek nods slowly. Perhaps, but we cannot know for certain. The tapestry of fate is complex and ever-changing, and even the smallest alteration can have unforeseen consequences.
World Tree, they were just a child. If more people used their powers to help and favored compassion over that power, imagine the world we would have. This is unspeakable.
As the last words echo in the pregnant silence that follows, the mist swirls again as the visions travel through a dark, horrific dungeon from the very bowels of hell. Dorian, how do you feel right now? What's going through your mind?
Why do we have to wait until something is bad? Why can't we be something proactive? Why can't we act now instead of later?
Thirdly, there is Uldren, the Gloomstalker. Nivek's voice resonates with a hint of warning, conjuring images of a shadowed prison, the clang of iron bars, and the desperation of escape. You aided him on his flight from captivity, clearing a path through his captors and offering him a chance at freedom he might not have otherwise attained. And then, with a command, you erased his memory, your presence from his mind, leaving him with only a vague sense of unease and a debt he could not repay. Dorian, how do you remember the exfiltration of Uldren from Hell's Door? What do you remember of the sights you saw, the smells, sounds? How many broken prisoners' faces did you look into, and how many of those poor souls' visages still haunt you? How many men and women merely doing their assigned duties did you kill to help free Uldren?
That place, it still haunts me to today. I know so many of the souls did not be there, and yet here I am, trying to piece this world back together, one person at a time. Mark my words, I will go back. I will free more people, especially those that do not demand to be there.
Rhea, a gnomish druid, chimes in. Ah, the thrill of escape, the defiance of authority, a noble deed indeed. Yet, freedom comes with a price, Nivek cautions, and Uldren's path is fraught with danger and uncertainty. By intervening, Dorian has entangled himself in Uldren's fate, for better or for worse.
He is still young. He has much to do. His blades will be a worthwhile instrument that needs training. We have all made mistakes, and it is worth every ounce of my measure to right those wrongs, even if those are not perfect.
As the Circle of Efferia all trade glances with each other, some approving, some skeptical. The mist shifts and swirls to depict a young man left for dead. Dorian, what do you remember thinking as you came upon Dustin for the first time?
That poor soul. His eyes, the suffering. His body was broken. I cried as I knelt to help him.
Lastly, there's Dustin, the gunslinger. Nivek's voice softens, painting a scene of a wounded warrior. His body wrecked, his soul crushed. You tended to his wounds, offering healing and solace, mending his flesh, but leaving the scars as a reminder of his ordeal. And then, with a whispered word, you erased your intervention from his memory, leaving him with a sense of resilience and a debt he could not comprehend.
Uldren nods in understanding. To heal the wounded is a noble act, even if it means altering their memories. Perhaps Dustin's scars will serve as a reminder of his strength, his ability to overcome adversity.
My one regret with him is that my spells were spent. I had to lean on the teachings of this court in the ways of herbs and remedies. His scars are not only a reminder for him, but also for me, because I cannot heal everything or everyone completely. I am no god.
Nivek's gaze intensifies, their voice echoing with the weight of judgment. You intervened, Dorian Oakenheart. You altered the threads of fate, shifted the destinies of these 4 individuals, and now you must bear the consequences.
I
Go ahead.
stand by my decision. I regret nothing. I wave my arms to the misty orb to make the memories fade and burst into 1,000 droplets. Each one has qualities this world needs. Each one has a part to play. But if I had a chance to do it again, I would do it all again with no hesitation. But maybe not erasing myself from their life. That is a regret of mine. They deserve to know that people care, and someone out there is willing to step up, even if it means breaking the laws of this land. They deserve to see compassion, trust, love, and strength.
A hush falls over the forest as Nivek delivers their verdict. For your actions, you are now responsible for the lives of these individuals and their safety from here forward. Their fates are intertwined with yours, their destinies bound to your choices. Guard them well, Dorian Oakenheart, for their sake and for the sake of Efferia.
Yet,